Hi guys, you've probably noticed that I've been posting a few videos on crypto recently, and there are a couple of reasons for this, guys. First of all, FOMO. You'd have to be living under a rock to not realize the incredible return the well-known and revered digital currencies such as Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, and my personal favorite XRP have returned. My water's missing. Guys, even the farcical currencies like Dogecoin have had a hell of a volatility and return roller coaster. So yes, FOMO has been real, and I've had to constantly remind myself that my property and my equity returns are good and I understand them and they feel more tangible and I can see the value proposition and all of that jazz. And the second point is, again, FOMO related, but with the whole keeping up with the Joneses mentality. We rise and fall together, as they say, and then there's certain friends who have overnight celebrity statuses from plowing into Bitcoin. But then I've also got to remember there were plenty of people who were on the wrong side of the trade just a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is.
However, it doesn't matter how hard I try, I have inevitably consumed a lot of crypto related content, even when I'm not looking for it. It's a moth to a flame and it seeks me out. It's impossible to ignore, and the prevalence of Bitcoin in all YouTube and other peer-to-peer media is just there. It's just there 24/7 surrounding me. So let's break down some of my research so far and figure out if Bitcoin in my mind is beyond a speculative asset or a mere punt, or is there a rationale for an evidence-based approach to using Bitcoin and other digital currencies as a possible investment. So many questions, guys. Also, we're in the peak of summer.
And the allergies are real, guys. Honestly, I have all the seasonal allergies. I didn't even get a cold in the winter.
Here comes summer and bang. It's like I've got constant 24/7 face flu. If you know, you know, guys. But I diverge. With all the hype and inevitable crypto converts who have commented on my videos in the past about my fickle understanding of Bitcoin, well, that is my first question. With all the hype, news flows, videos, still don't believe I've heard a bona fide answer to what problem is Bitcoin or other digital currencies actually solving. Tell me, hit me. If you can answer that, is it worth all the baggage or what economists call, externality? You can probably tell already that I am a bit of a skeptic, so no intention to offend any of the crypto fanboys and girls out there, but I do encourage a little bit of debate on the common pro points used to promote digital currencies like Bitcoin. The first common argument in favor of crypto is the volume of money printed in fiat currency. One of the most common ones I can come across is that 1/3 of all dollars was printed in the last 12 months. This problem is not just a US problem, by the way. It's where developed economies around the world and the UK as well have embarked on quantitative easing. That's the technical term of printing or creating more money in the system. And why is that an issue then? Well, mass money printing makes money less scarce and leads to currency debasement and mass inflation, guys. It's terrifying, and we do see images and stories of countries that have undergone mass inflation and currency debasement. Zimbabwe is a popular reference, but it's just a nice sensational headline because the reality doesn't really meet the headline. And yes, I understand if you want someone to buy a new product, you need to make the old one feel obsolete. It happens to me every year with every new Samsung phone that pops out, and my husband has been going through it right now with getting the PS5 when he hasn't actually touched the PS4 in 4 years. Yes, we managed to get a PS5, guys, and I'm not gonna lie, that Spider-Man Morales or whatever it's called, it's actually a decent game. The graphics, like, I felt like I was flying through Manhattan just watching it.
Whoa! He stole that guy's pizza!
Who needs a holiday? Just kidding. This is my life right now, and you know, it's all good, it's fine. But the point is, we need a good story, we need a good pitch to get people to switch over. If you want people to switch from old currency to new currency, then the old currency has to be dying or becoming incumbent, like Schumpeter probably would have said. Now, when a narrative like this is brought to the table, an old form of investment is ending. We should be inquisitive and asking a lot of questions. For instance, a year ago, pre-vaccine deployment, I was asking a ton of questions around mRNA technology and companies like Moderna being able to create vaccines that are effective and efficient. Narratives like this create alpha, and that is what gives us normal investors any edge over a very efficient market. It's to question that narrative and back it if it makes sense. So the inflation argument for fiat to create a currency replacement thesis by Bitcoin is frankly more than a little rubbishy, guys. It just doesn't make sense. And yes, we've printed a lot of money in the last year. We've printed a lot of money in the last 10 years. Printed a lot of money since the dawn of fractional lending, and to get money and economies that stimulated. So what? what's the big deal? Such is how the wheel rolls. But if you do listen to crypto news and crypto purists, they will explain that inflation is the biggest threat to our economies and greatest economic challenge of our time. This time, frankly, that's a little bit of horse pile dung. In fact, there are many arguments to suggest that the only problem with inflation until very recently is that we haven't had enough of it, guys. Good, steady, low inflation is a good thing. It means there's a demand in the economy. Annual inflation is in the range of 2 to 3%. It's a good sign of a healthy economy. Now, that isn't to say high inflation is not a problem. It is. Inflation over 4 to 5% in a developed economy is a problem. Anything over 4% is a problem, but it has to be running consistently over 4%. Do you know how many times the inflation rate in the US has been over 4% in the last decade? A grand total of 0, guys. 0, 0, nil, nada. In fact, it's only been over 3% once, which was in 2011. Over the last 10 years, inflation has struggled to crack 2% in the US. And deep breath. The US is the focus for this because that's how digital currency is pitched. It's pitched versus the greenback, the dollar. So in a nutshell, the impact of inflation has been greatly exaggerated, not gonna lie. Now, again, as an investor, I do think we'll have a high inflation environment, and you can click here to get my viewpoint on it, but in the context of Bitcoin. To the second key selling point for digital currencies, and one that I've tended to see some value in, I'm not completely sold on, is the one that Bitcoin is the new gold. Can you imagine wearing that Bitcoin around you? And that is, it will be the perfect inflation hedge, a new commodity. Actually, the Bitcoin aficionados make the same comments that gold lovers make as well. Gold is great because it protects us against quantitative easing, currency debasement, economic catastrophe, and all that jazz. At least if you've got a gold bullion, you can eat it when the world collapses. However, gold as a currency equivalent is bad. The gold standard was bad. And if cryptocurrency is trying to be a medium of exchange, then that's bad. I won't go into this in detail as to why gold and the gold standard is a bad idea. I can do that in another video. But pegging currency to an asset like gold has historically been very bad. I don't know how many times I've said bad, but there you go. You've got to know inflation was more volatile when pegged. Deflation was an issue in the gold standard. Deflation is way worse than inflation and harder to reverse as well. Economic growth, which you keep hearing about, these terms thrown around, that was also volatile, and recessions painful without monetary policy tools available under the fiat regimes. And that brings me to why Bitcoin can never be a solution to fiat or the dollar. The volatility would never be acceptable in a modern global economy. There is no chance, guys. It just isn't. And my final point, which I've become more aware of while researching Tesla, link to that video in the description obviously, is that Bitcoin uses a lot of energy, and that is finally coming up to the spotlight. The reason for this is Bitcoin has a massive carbon footprint and consumes more energy than certain countries. Just listen to that again. It consumes more energy than certain countries, and I'm concerned about climate change, massively concerned. I don't think it's a myth, and so on ethical grounds alone, I'm gonna really question my purchase on Bitcoin. As price of Bitcoin does rise, mining will also increase, and so along with it, CO2 emissions. That is why Tesla has stepped out of accepting Bitcoin as payment. Buying an electric car with Bitcoin is like buying a solar panel with a bag of burning coal. Guys, the benefits wipe each other out. So what about fossil fuels then? Well, fossil fuels we need. It has a huge carbon footprint, but we have to move away while protecting the output we generate by fossil fuels. If oil ran out tomorrow, let's face it, we'll all be in a very, very tricky situation. But if all Bitcoin in the world disappeared tomorrow, well, it won't impact the functioning of the economy, because even after all the hype and investing, it plays no meaningful role in economic activities. And that doesn't mean I think it will vanish away, by the way. I'm just making a point, just visualize. But where does that actually leave me with Bitcoin? Well, it feels like a little bit of a bubble, and Bitcoin really has two main purposes: ransomware attacks and speculative trading. Now, will the bubble burst? If it does, what will replace it? And will it deliver real value to the global economy? Who knows? I have my take on it, and the Bitcoin bubble will pop, guys. And like I said, the hardest thing as an investor is watching from the sidelines and trying to make a price prediction. Well, it won't continue to rise, but the question is, when will the bearish period arrive? When will the Bitcoin bubble burst? And you can click this video here to see what I think about the bubble bursting. I'll see you over there.